Well, happy January. Today we're going to talk about knowing when it's time to move on. Now, this can be related to a person, place, or thing. It doesn't have to be any one thing. It really can apply to anything. And it's that intuition and knowing what's telling you it's time for me to move on. Now, prior to opening your script, you probably had things that were established in that script when you were in the red zone. So anything that is in your life from that point in time is, for all intents and purposes, like a lower frequency manifestation. And if you have to like interact with it, it's representative of you at that point in time. And those manifestations exist in a closed loop in time, a closed loop within the matrix. It's in a closed loop. It's not an open circuit, it's closed. So when you make a choice to create something, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you can only get the result that that choice can give you. So if that choice was when you were on frequency 2 or 3 or 4, it's only going to give you where you were at that time. And it can never change. The result of the choice can never change. And source players can lose sight of that. It's very easy to lose sight of that because you can continue interacting with, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So it's this easier or faster recognition of realizing this manifestation's not exactly what I want. So I have to finesse it and I have to refine it because it's not at the frequency. It's not giving me the experience that I want on the frequency that matches me. So you may have to now come to a point where you sever everything. If you think about having to lose everything, it may come to a point where you have to sever something or many things to get better because you're literally playing with your old life, so to speak. You're still playing out your old life. So what do I mean? Okay, let's just talk about a doctor. It's kind of reflective to my personal experience. So just think about a doctor. You had a doctor before you opened your script and raise your frequency up. Your doctor is on in that time period or that frequency, and the doctor is always going to the doctor's always going to be that person that they were at the time. You've changed, but that person has not, because they are there from 7 years ago. They were already established before you unlocked your soul cage, your script. So you could try to change your responses. You could try lots of different things, but ultimately it's like running headfirst into the wall over and over again. It's a moot point. It's never going to change the result of the choice. So you may have to create a new relationship with a new person, place, or thing in your experience to see the better experience, the better result of your choices, of your decision making, of your manifestations, all of it. Now, when I see that something isn't serving and isn't evolving, because that's really it. These manifestations, they cannot evolve. They are in like a little snow globe. They're in a little snow globe, and there is a scene being played out in that snow globe, but it's encased and encapsulated, and that's it. So now you want better, we're going to get a new snow globe. And this one is going to be it's going to be better, because as long as you're going up in your frequency, then you can only get better. You can't get less or worse unless you somehow allow your frequency to dip. But you really, once you actually are in a higher frequency, how often does that happen? And if it does happen, how long does it last? Not very long at all, right? So that's how you get better results. And I've realized that recently with my doctor, that my doctor is established from 2016. It's now 2024. I've had a significant change, obviously. And when I look at all the friction and kind of like not really red flags, but indications to me that this was not vibing anymore, that I was getting friction and I really wasn't liking the experience that I was having, I can't expect the doctor to change. She's going to be who she is because she was established and manifested into my life at that time when I was manifesting the kind of people that she is to, whatever. I'm over it. And when I find when people are not treating me better, and not necessarily bad, but when people are not able because they're not able to recognize a change within me, I really don't have a desire to interact with that person because they are unaware. And it's that saying, when you go to therapy or whatever and you change, or you distance and create healthy boundaries from your family, and your family still treats you like, even though you've changed, you've established your own self, your own identity. Let's say you go home for the holidays, your family is going to put you right back. They're still going to interact with you and relate to you the way they think you are, even though you're not that thing. So it's that unwillingness to play that role. Why would you want to play that role? I don't want to step into that little snow globe and play out that role. I want to create a new snow globe with a whole lot more going on in it. It's a whole lot better of an experience. But when you think of a doctor, if you're a healthy person, you go to see a doctor once a year for a physical, and they were like, hey, you're doing really well. This is great. Blah blah blah. We've checked your blood. All the things that they do. They pop the hood and they check under the hood and see if you're good. And then we'll see you next year. Go get your mammogram. Go get this. Whatever the case may be. But for some people, if you take medications, you maybe have to go 2 or 3 times a year because you have to get blood work and they want to make sure everything is going okay inside. And that's how they determine, by looking at your blood and all that. If you don't feel good about your doctor, you might avoid them. And so that's really what I did. And I just procrastinated making a change because I didn't want to deal with the inconvenience. I was more willing to deal with the inconvenience of dealing with her than finding the new. And overall, when I think about it now, this just came to me as I'm saying this, had I changed my doctor at the time when things inside of me started to feel different towards her, it wouldn't have been any better if I got a new doctor. I probably would have gotten a doctor giving me a very similar experience. So now, knowing where I am now, I know that I can get a better result with my intentions. And that's really where I'm at. This really can be for anything where you've lived. When you think of it this way, everything that is said in the very first video may have to lose everything. It really clicks and makes a lot more sense, because who wants to play on the same level over and over and over again when you've played it 100 times before? If you've played any video game, you know how it goes. You go through the level, you know everything about it, you've advanced and evolved past it. You may have to do it in certain cases. You may have to end up moving in certain cases, whether you want to or not, because you were never going to do it. It was going to be uncomfortable for you to do it. It was going to be a major inconvenience. Yes, I'm talking about myself, but really, that means now better will arrive. And this is a reminder of that. And I hope I was helpful, and I will talk to you all again real soon. Until then, bye.